he's combining your stock being on Wall Street, but also your real estate, because you're looking at comps, looking at what's undervalued.
My own Zillow forecast.
Yeah, so
exactly.
Basically you're taking what you've done in the past, Bob, you're building on it, and you're at the peak of your game now.
I find I'm probably going to make a podcast of this and send it to an individual in Australia that I've been speaking to, who I believe is one of the top biotech analysts in Australia. The point is, analysts and brokerage firms that believe in these companies and they don't see the company valued at what they should, I'm a huge asset, and it's only self-serving. If we all see the same light, that we join forces. And after I do a number of these, I hope to have the luxury to hire one of these analysts, put him in the room next to me in my office, so when the phone rings and we get companies that are interested, they can vet the deals, because that's the most frustrating part for me, is the time to look at these companies and really analyze them and say, is this something I want? And more importantly, if I take the job, it's a sporting event.
It's a sporting event.
I have to win.
But the interesting thing here is he doesn't have to win too many. So I wouldn't, he's only 55, spend a couple of years
still a
of
kid,
this.
Marshall.
The other thing is, we should get his itinerary. We should find out who his next client is. And is that kind of inside trading?
No. We have to be careful. But I know
I'm not going to do it.
Whatever he touches is
That's
a
what
win.
I mean.
But, Bob, let me ask you now, let's take a step back. Going public, you mentioned Pink Sheets.
Right.
There's thousands of companies. What do they do? I mean, you get a little money and then you just kind of languish, and it's hard to move from that position.
Well, if I talk to 100 people on Wall Street, there might be one that can buy those stocks, and probably only one. When I say one, I mean high, decent companies that could even raise money for them. They're prejudiced. There's a prejudice against these companies the day that they got a stock symbol, and it's too bad that they couldn't hang around a little longer, grow the company a little further, so that they could have reached some sort of a higher, more elevated status. Because in order for them to get out of this web, they need somebody like me, and most of them make the mistake of going to these vulture capitalists that are diluting the heck out of these stocks, and they go to useless PR and IR firms that will take their money, naturally, but it's not going to produce anything substantive. Quite frankly, if I see a company I don't like, of course I need the money just like everybody else, but I wouldn't take the deal. I only want what is clear-cut. I only want what I could see what needs to be done to change the topography. And the CEO and CFO of these companies are so deep into working the companies, they can't see what I see very clearly.
Now, will you stray outside of the medical arena? You keep mentioning, biotech, medical. What about, high tech or, other types of companies?
I'm going to take everything when the time comes. But the situation is, I've cultivated the politicians. I've cultivated high-up military people. And I have industry folks in the medical.
So that's your real niche right now.
If you show me a great product in those groups, I'm staring at my cell phone in your office. I can pick up a phone and make 5 or 10 calls. The guy will answer the phone or gal and move the ball forward.
Well, before you leave, I'm going to talk to you about one or two things that I happen to know about that I've been associated with.
Now, are you going to include me in on this, Rick? Or?
Marshall, you're my partner. Whatever
okay.
I do,
Thank you.
you know.
There you go.
But, Bob, any advice for a company, trying to raise capital right now? I mean, you mentioned venture capital. Is the public markets a good option?
If they're private, they have a great product, and their needs are for small sums of money, I may have network connections for them. I don't enjoy doing it because there's very little money for me in raising a company $2 or $3 or $4 million. But if they can keep away from the VCs until they have something substantive out there, there's chances to hit the stars, obviously. If it's a company that's already gone through a round or two and needs a more significant amount of money, I'd love them to call me up, and I just simply look through the Rolodex. Whoops, I'm 55. I look through my database and call the VCs for them.
No more Rolodexes, huh?
If they've gone public on the low-end exchanges, they know who they are. I want to talk to them. If your valuation should be significantly higher than it is, and it's eluded you, it's really a matter of starting at the structure and figuring out what went wrong and how we have to change that topography to move forward. But once that's done, you're then Wall Street ready.
Do you see Wall Street coming back in the IPOs?
I don't know. And you know something? I don't care. All I want to do is be focused on what I see out there that I can obtain a passion for and enthusiasm for and run with the ball. My personal investments will always be real estate.
What does that tell you? Okay, interesting.
I need to kick it, feel it, taste it, smell it. I will not buy Apple. I will not buy Google. And I'm sure that somebody will do it and make a lot of money.
And you didn't buy Facebook. You were smart.
Exactly.
Marshall, you've been in this arena for a long time. What do you think of Bob's model?
Well, I know, he's absolutely right about the opportunities that are there in the market that he's looking at. He's got the background, the experience, the knowledge. He's got associates that he can plug in. He's really someone like him is really, and people who support what he's doing can really make a lot of money and bring a lot of good. There's no question about it. You know how I feel about, changes that should occur. I'm very active in the same market. I know a lot of people, I'm sure that he does, based on the companies he's been at, particularly, his last stint at Drexel. I don't know if I've never mentioned this to you, but Fred Joseph was my personal banker and unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago. So I ascribe to everything that he's talking about. I recognize the same thing. And I've got my own, quote, solutions for some of the things that he's talking about. So it's very exciting. I hope that I'll, start a relationship with Bob, figure out what he's doing, see perhaps if we could help one another. But we share the same thoughts, passions, etc. He's just a few years younger than I am, that's all.
He's a kid.